We asked you a little bit about the offensive line last time. You talked about shuffling some guys around. I'm curious how things might start out. Like a guy like Malachi Breland, he played left guard for you last year. Is he a guard for sure? You consider working him at tackle any?
Yeah, Trey, I think we are going to shuffle throughout spring, but like initially, Kavion Broussard, we're going to probably start right there at left tackle. Okay, Malachi Breland probably right there at left guard. Again, all these guys with the ability to compete. Right, Kittler is probably going to stay primarily at center. Right, Cash Courtney, a young guy that we've talked about all along, like probably a center, but also the ability to play some of the guard spots based off of how those guys do. Right, we know Kobe obviously has been a starting right guard in this conference. Probably going to leave him there initially. That doesn't mean does he get kicked out to right tackle a couple times? Do we have to move him to left guard based off of the growth of some other people that may step up? We brought in Big Grant from Louisiana Lafayette. Like, does he solidify that right tackle spot? But the ability to move those guys. But initially, day one, they're going to start in their primary spots. You can never have enough guys that can snap as well. We got to make sure throughout the spring that we're rotating some guys. You may look in there and you may say, oh, I didn't know that guy was a center, but maybe the opportunity, just because you can never want to go into a game with not enough guys that can do that.
I know you said you didn't want to single guys out, but I was curious about, I assume you guys have done some testing and maxing and stuff. I was curious if there was any numbers that jumped out to you.
Everybody always, we track the GPS, we do all those things. We actually have not gone to the maxes on any of the stuff, whether it's squat max, bench max right now, because of soft tissue leading into spring break, leading into spring ball. And so we're going to be smart with that. We'll do some more of that really at middle of the summer, right, when we get them back, and we've got them on the 6-week plan, and then before maybe the July 4th break, kind of what that looks like, and then kind of get them geared back up for training camp. Let's say the GPS was fine, nothing earth-shattering. We got some speed, which is great. I think what we're going to see is guys that are going to continue to make the strength gains, their speed's going to go up. And sometimes people are like, well, how can a 185-pound receiver that all of a sudden weighs 190 get faster? Well, that's strength, right? And I think that's all part of it as we get to see that growth with what they're doing in the weight room. I know, right, sometimes a lot of you guys have questions on the weights of guys and stuff like that. We're giving certain guys goal weights. We're giving those the opportunity to kind of see where they can match. We've added another nutritionist within our department that can be monitored. So all those things are going hand in hand within the weight room with what they're doing on and off the field.
How big is it for you, coach, to have recruits come to practice and watch them and watch the practices, maybe see their future coach or something out there working? How big? I know a lot of kids have said they're going to be here next few weeks. Talk about how big that is for the program.
Yeah, Otis, I think it's great. As you guys know, right, we want as many recruits that we're interested in to show up, right? And we invited, I think Brad Cook, you guys, we made the announcement, obviously, that we officially added him, right? I think he's reached out to every coach in the state and saying, come watch practice, send them our practice calendar, like, come yourself, bring your players. And I think that open invitation is pretty darn nice for these high school coaches. Come sit in our meetings, be a part of this thing. And then to have the recruits out there, I think it's great because we can sit here on a Saturday and a junior day and I can, hey, this is what all in means. Here's our beautiful facility. Here's your academic presentation. Here's where we eat lunch. That's great. But nothing tells you more about our program than going out there and watching those coaches coach, watching them teach a meeting, watching them coach a guy in the details of it, holding them accountable, celebrating. You get to see the true aspect of a football program when you get to go out there and watch them for 2 hours, what they're all about. So the more our recruits get to see us in action, I actually think it's going to be a great selling point for us. Everybody in the SEC has nice facilities. Everybody's got these great things. But, man, hopefully the way our guys coach, the details of it, these young men that come watch us say, I want to be a part of that. That's going to help me in my development.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Chris Marshall. Just curious what kind of due diligence that y'all did to make sure he would fit the culture that you're trying to build here, and then also just how has he fit in so far, and then what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, just like with every guy, you do your background, you call around, you call the coaches, you're opening up everything you can to figure out about this person's past, good or bad, right? And Chris, we certainly, let's call it what it is, we did our due diligence, we called around. And a lot of it is just sitting with a young man face-to-face, like I've told you I've done with every single recruit, whether it's a high school kid or transfer, and sitting them face-to-face and say, listen, let's talk about your past. And maybe it's Tim Tebow telling you about, all the children he saved. You're like, oh, that's great. And maybe it's another man that may have not had a perfect past. And let's just say, not every 17 to 22-year-old has had a perfect past, but some guys that can learn from it. As long as they can sit here and say, hey, I've made mistakes in my past. I understand I can own it. I know what I need to do in order to improve myself. And this goes for any individual, not just Chris, any person we've dealt with, right? Hey, I'm willing to take the steps in the right direction. I'm willing to be held accountable. I'm going to do what exactly we need and you need from me as an individual in order for us to have success in this program. And I think that's important, because if a young man sits there and says, well, again, not just Chris, any individual, and is not sure that they can own up to things that have gone on in the past, probably not somebody we want a part of our culture. And so that's important, right? Being able to hold their feet to the fire and say, listen, no. You told me we could hold you accountable. You told me your goals, and you told our coaches we could help you achieve your goals no matter what it looks like. And sometimes it's not pretty, right? I can't sit here and tell you every day I'm giving guys hugs and telling them I love them and pats on the back and, telling them how much I care about them. Yeah, we do those things. We tell our players we love them, but sometimes there's some words that come out of our mouth. Sometimes it's a little bit more gruff and not so sweet and sensitive. But they get it, and they understand, hey, this is what this is all about, and so whatever the heck it takes in order for us to be successful as individuals and as a program, we're all in.